Welcome to Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. And now, coming to the mic, your host, Jalen Walker.
Test. Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 7 of Pound for Pound, the MMA podcast. I'm your host, Jalen Walker. And boy, oh boy, do we got a good one tonight. UFC 252. It is finally here, everybody. Yes, it is. DC versus Stipe. Oh my goodness, I am so excited. I know a lot of people are. I know you guys probably are, but man, it is finally here. But before we get into that, got some other stuff to go into. Contender Series Week 2. Pretty good fights. Oh, man, some nasty injuries and finishes. Joe Pyfer got slammed by Dustin Stoltzfus and dislocated his elbow. You just saw it come right out, and it just stayed there. Dustin immediately got and went to him and make sure he was okay. I was apologizing. You can't. It's a freak accident. Joe knows that. He's going to get through it. It sucked. It was the main event. It was in the first round, but I mean, it was a huge slam. Adriana Yanez defeats Brady Huang in the TKO in round 1, 39 seconds. It's a pretty good fight. Corey McKenna versus Vanessa. I'm not even going to try to pronounce her last name. Unanimous decision. And then TJ Laramie versus Daniel Swain. It's a TKO from a doctor stoppage. I was talking to people about this one. I think he gave up. He kept grabbing his rib at halfway, and then he said to his coach before that, he was saying, I just can't do anything. I don't know what to do. I can't do anything. And then he started leaning over, but I think he was just done. I don't think he could take it anymore. He knew he couldn't win, so he just kind of said his rib was messed up, and the doctor called it. He said he couldn't fight. He even said, I would not like to continue. So doctor stoppage round 1, or end of round 1. All right, Empo versus Anthony Adams, unanimous decision also. And then for the third time in Contender Series history, all 5 fighters got contracts. Dana White, he kept joking. He kept saying, I just got back from vacation. I'm in a good mood. And yes, he was. I mean, I think a lot of those people deserve those contracts. There was a couple that were kind of questionable. But I'm very excited to see Dustin Stoltzfus go to the UFC. He's going to be a force to be reckoned with. But yeah, Week 2 was great. Week 3, Tuesday at 8 p.m. on ESPN+. Make sure you guys are tuning in. All right. Paige Van Zandt to bare knuckle boxing. I'm not going to lie. I didn't see this one coming. I for sure thought she was going to stay with the UFC or just go to Bellator. But I did not think bare knuckle would get Paige Van Zandt. I mean, I'm going to watch it. I want to see what you can do with bare knuckles. Like, why wouldn't you? I heard it's a multi-million-dollar deal, so she's eating. She got her money, even though she lost her final UFC fight. Dana wasn't going to sign her, I don't think. If he was, it'd be for very, very little money. But yeah, bare knuckle boxing. I'm very, 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 very excited for that. On to talking about Bellator. Corey Anderson. So let me break this down real quick. Corey Anderson had a health scare. He got in a really bad, I don't know if it was a bike accident, something where he fell and hit his face on the gravel. Messed up his whole face. When he went to the hospital, the doctor said, you need to have heart surgery. There's something wrong with your heart. And he said he was scared for his life. So all this was happening, I think in February or something. Well, recently, in the past week, Corey Anderson asked Dana for a release, just asked to be released. And rarely enough, what the UFC will usually do when someone's on a contract and they ask for release, they'll say, well, no, we'll give you a couple more fights, blah, blah, blah. And they'll give you really, really hard fights. And that's just the way it's just what they do. But for some reason, the UFC was like, yeah, all right, go ahead. Cut his contract. We'll let him go. Never happens. So within 24 hours, he signed with Bellator. This had to be planned. I'm sorry. There's something that had to be planned. UFC kind of messed up here, I think. But he signed with Bellator. Long story short, Corey said his decision was financially motivated. He thinks Bellator would be more lucrative for him in the long run, so he signed on a dotted line. I think that's true. He could have a chance of getting the title in Bellator. UFC is on the fence, but Bellator, I'm not gonna say he has a great chance, but there is a chance there. And will they give him a title fight for as big of a name as Corey Anderson is? And will it attract enough people? It's just so many factors are going to be playing in if this move was like a good move on his part. But if he's getting the money, he's happy, God bless the man. Another release from the UFC, Ray Borg. Last week, the UFC dropped Ray Borg. He had a 13-5 MMA record and a 7-5 in the UFC. He's a former flyweight champion, or title challenger, sorry. After a second straight fight withdrawal, they just said nah. So he was removed from his bantamweight bout against Nathan Manis on UFC. I can't remember what UFC was. I don't have that up. Sorry. Reasons for that weren't discussed. It just happened. People forgot about it. But it was a second straight one in June when Borg missed a Merab Davilishi. I can't pronounce the name correctly. I'm sorry. But 2 days before the event, he just left Las Vegas and said he went home for personal reasons. So I don't know what that happened. He put on Instagram, I really don't care, but he said, I vow to be back. He's a better person than this. You're old news now, boy. Sorry. Moving on to the kind of the biggest news going on right now in UFC, other than the trilogy, Stipe versus Cormier. Khabib, he tweeted. So everyone knows his dad died. Rest in peace. But he tweeted October Gaethje, April GSP. I mean, yeah, I'm not against that. I mean, I would love to see Khabib versus Conor again, but if Khabib wants these last two fights, Gaethje and GSP, that's not bad. I'm more than happy with that. But Khabib said he would step back in the cage with Conor. But he said Conor's got to fight a top-rated opponent. You're not just gonna come fight Khabib after you've retired, come back, fought Cowboy for 40 seconds. We were supposed to have Conor McGregor. He said 3 fights in 2020. We've had 1 fight and then COVID, of course. But Conor is healthy. He's out of trouble. What are we doing? Why is he not at Vegas at least? Why was he in Abu Dhabi? That's perfect. I don't know what the UFC is doing. I think they're dropping a ball when it comes to Conor McGregor. Even though I'm not the biggest Conor McGregor fan, he does get pay-per-view views. There's just something that I don't feel right about with him not fighting and him being healthy and him being out of trouble, and the UFC not in need of fighters, but in need of excitement. I mean, we have one of the biggest UFC fights of all time, the biggest trilogy of all time tonight. But still, why is Conor not fighting? Come on, man. You're not really retired. What are you doing? Like, seriously. But Conor, he said, Khabib said Conor is always going to be the number 2. He can never do anything with me inside the cage. He's a 0. But despite Conor announcing his retirement, he shot jabs at him, just entertaining the offer. But at the press conference, with Khabib announcing like everything's going on, reporters asked Khabib, this was in Russia, by the way, whether he entertained the possibility of fighting McGregor again. And he said, let him come back and defeat Dustin Poirier. Then we will have a fight with no problem. I like that. Dustin Poirier versus Conor. I would love to see that just so Dustin can knock Conor out. Just so Conor can fully just, okay. But if he beats Dustin, but I just don't know how that timeline fits up. Will Khabib go for 31-0? I mean, this is all just knock on wood at this point because, like, you know what I mean? He hasn't even fought Gaethje yet. That's October. But, oh, man. Both men have fought Poirier in their careers. McGregor did finish him. What was it, like 100 seconds, like a minute and a half or something. It's all good though. It was a featherweight bout. I think it was. Yeah, let me look. UFC 178, September 2014. But most recently, as we know, Khabib submitted the Diamond Dustin Poirier at UFC 242 in September. So great fight. Dustin did a great job. Khabib's on a different level. Poirier has bounced back though, since with that unanimous decision win over Dan Hooker at UFC recently, which is a great fight, and that put him back at the number 2 spot. So very, very, very interesting. Also, Khabib came out and said, I had different thoughts about retirement, but I've already had a fight. I'm 32 years old soon, and I'm already a veteran of this sport. I've been in the UFC for more than 8 years now, and I want to fight to be busy with something. The regimen helps me get distracted. Yep. October 24th, Justin Gaethje versus Khabib. I'm very excited. Also, George St. Pierre did break his silence with Ariel Helwani, and he was saying the UFC just keeps bringing him back in, and he just keep bringing him back in. So I think he's interested. The undefeated Russian Khabib is, I think he could beat GSP, one of the greatest middleweight and welterweight champions of all time. GSP is the GOAT. I will say it. GSP is the GOAT. He is the greatest fighter in MMA history. John Jones is right up there with him. Israel Adesanya is on his way. We got some incredible champions and incredible fighters, but GSP, in my mind, his reign at welterweight is one of the greatest achievements in sports and fighting history. I mean, we got Usman that's tied it right now. You know what I mean? So if Usman goes past it, then we got to have that discussion, GSP versus Usman, the time period, who Usman fought, who GSP fought, and break it down. And that would be a wonderful discussion. But I would love to have that at the time once Usman gets past the record of 12 or 14. I can't remember. I'm terrible. But great fight if that happens. Khabib also said this fight would be a dream for my father. He explained his father passed away. The time is ticking. George St. Pierre is 40 years old next year. We have to decide if we will fight or not. If I beat Gaethje, then in April I could fight St. Pierre. He said, I am still offered a fight with before I read this, Mayweather wants to fight Khabib. That's not even a fight. If it was a boxing match, Mayweather's going to win all the time. We all know Khabib doesn't have great striking. Yeah, he has those great one punch. He had that one punch on Conor that stunned him when they fought, which was dope. But, man, GSP versus... I don't even want to get into the Mayweather because I know that's not going to happen, and I'm not very interested in that. I would rather see some... I don't even care about that point. We're going to just stick to the UFC. But, yeah, GSP versus Khabib... I think that'd be insane. They say 165 when it comes down to it if it does happen. So it'd be an exhibition. It won't be for the belt. So who comes out first? You know what I mean? Is it... Who knows? GSP or Khabib, man. GSP the GOAT versus the current GOAT right now, Khabib. Active GOAT. But like I said, GSP is the greatest of all time. I think that he could have a great ground defense against Khabib, but I think Khabib will be able to take him down no matter what. But I think GSP is also going to take Khabib down. It will be one of the best wrestling matches we have ever seen if they do fight. And I think they would strike and they would go at it. And I think GSP at 39 would still be GSP at 30 years old. You know what I mean? I think he is a dominant force. I mean, we got Daniel Cormier fighting tonight at 41. Like, it's not that big of a deal. Get GSP out here. Khabib, win your next fight against Gaethje. I know you will. Gaethje's the bomb, but Khabib, you got to take that home for us. We got to see GSP versus Khabib. All right. Enough of all that. Now, no, not that yet. Not just that. I'm still going to go through everything and stuff like that. But yeah. All right, UFC 252. First fight of the night was it's that bantamweight fight. John Dodson versus Merab Valish or Valishvili. Merab Valishvili. I think I got that right. That was the closest I've been so far. But yeah, we got John Dodson at plus 128 and Merab at minus 240. Pretty good betting odds for Merab. Or not Merab, John Dodson, but John Dodson, has he? I'm trying to think. I don't think he's ever been stopped. Yeah, he's never been stopped in his career. But he has a 10-6 record in the UFC, and he's fought for the flyweight championship twice, but lost both. But see, I don't know what that means. I think that meant stopped by. Yeah, I'm not sure. But yeah, 10-6 in the UFC, fought for the flyweight championship twice, and he fell short on both occasions. He's averaging 3.30 strikes per minute and just 0.76 takedowns. So we're not really. Takedown's not going to be there unless he's in trouble. He has 10 knockouts and 2 submissions, though. And he stopped Nathaniel Wood in a third round on February 15th. That's the last time we've seen him. It's going to be interesting. He's ranked 12th right now in the world. Merab Valishvili is ranked 15th in the world. He's coming off a four in a row win streak. Last one is a decision by dropping what's his name? I can't remember. I'm not sure. But yeah, he entered at 11-4. He's 29 years old. He's averaging 8.67 takedowns per 15 minutes of octagon time. John Dodson's getting takedowned ASAP multiple times, over and over, ground and pound. That's how he's going to get it. You know what I mean? But he's never got the stoppage in the UFC octagon. So it's probably going to go to decision. Merab, you know what I mean? He only has 2 knockouts. No, he has 2 knockouts and 1 submission. But it's just recently, it's all being unanimous decision. His last 5 fights have been all unanimous decision from 3-round fights. He just can't get the job done. Hopefully his camp's figured that out and he can just get that KO tonight or just get that ground and pound or submission. You know what I mean? So we'll see. It's going to be a really interesting fight. Next fight, we got featherweight. 2 featherweights looking to take a crack at the top 15 with a victory with the main card. We got Herbert Burns, who is Gilbert Burns' brother. Gilbert, it was the guy that was supposed to fight Usman. And Masvidal took his fight because Gilbert had corona. But yeah, it's Herbert Burns versus Daniel Pineda. Burns is 11-2. He's a rising star. I mean, him and his brother's the number 1 contender at welterweight. Like, is this the new Diaz brothers? Like, what's going on with this? I mean, I would like it. I mean, let's see what they got. The youngest brother is 11-2 with 8 submissions and a knockout in his MMA career. He's 2-0 in the UFC, and he's got 2 first-round stoppages. And he's only been in the octagon in his UFC career, he's only been in the octagon for 4 minutes and 3 seconds. It's pretty crazy. That's pretty crazy. His 2-0 record in the UFC comes via those 2 first-round stoppages. He landed a total of 12 strikes and 2 takedowns in his dominating victories. And that was June 6th at UFC 250, I think. Yeah, then the 82nd win via rear naked choke versus Evan Dunham. I remember that. That was nasty. That was really good. That was his last fight, yeah. That was Nunes versus Spencer, UFC 250. So, exciting fight there. The featherweight division is stacked. You know what I mean? You got a great champion with Alex. But I think Max is going to get that rematch. I think they're going to get the trilogy. I don't think Alex wants it. It's not fair to him technically, but they're pretty much even in my eyes. Max won that last fight. And then next, we got another heavyweight fight. There's 2 heavyweight fights tonight. Sorry, my computer froze. One of my favorite fighters, Junior Dos Santos versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck. He's the guy that knocked out Overeem, cut his whole lip open. But he did just lose to Ngannou. This one's not for the title, obviously. But pairs of former division champions. Junior Dos Santos used to be the heavyweight championship in UFC. Heavy-handed Brazilian. He has 15 knockouts and 1 submission on his resume in the UFC. He's averaging 4.6 significant strikes in the octagon per minute. Whew. Like I said, he's 27-1, 15-6 in the UFC. He's ranked number 5 in the division. I mean, we all know who Junior is. We all know what he can do. And at 36, he's 6'4", and he has a slight reach advantage. He did lose his last 2 fights to Francis Ngannou and Curtis Blades. But also Rosenstruck also lost to Ngannou his last fight. But talking about Rosenstruck, he's 10-1. He lost his last fight in May. That was his first fight he ever lost in the UFC against Ngannou. It was the first pay-per-view coming back from COVID, so it was a big deal. A lot of people watched it. His claim to fame still to me is that KO over Alistair Overeem. Just 4 seconds remaining in that round. It's insane, man. I'll never get that picture out of my face or in my head of his face, and his whole lip just split open. It was insane. He's never attempted to take down his 5 UFC fights, so we're not really worried about that. So, yeah, he was on a roll until that Ngannou fight, and if he would have beaten Ngannou, man, Rosenstruck would have been next in line for the vacant title if Stipe doesn't win tonight and if Stipe doesn't retire. But yeah, December 7th when he did that to Overeem, shocked the world, put him out, came out, lost to Ngannou. Now he's got to fight Junior. If he beats Junior, I think that'll put him back up there in contentions. But right now, it's you gotta take out a legend. You know what I mean? Junior was the one in heavyweight. He's a bad man, and if Rosenstruck can put him out tonight, it'll prevail him even higher, I think. Good things to see from them, though. It's going to be one to watch. All right. The 2 most anticipated fights of the night. You guys already know what I'm about to... Woo! Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera. One of the most talented prospects in the UFC makes his debut in the co-event. His first debut co-event. Not his debut in the UFC, but his co-main event debut. Sugar Sean O'Malley takes on Marlon Vera at the bantamweight. Sean O'Malley, he overwhelms his opponents with his strikes are just insane. He's so all over the place. He fights, I can't even explain it. His limbs just get spread out and they just land. He doesn't hit you on the head. He doesn't hit you on the back of the head. He hits you square on the chin and puts you out. That's what the Sugar Show does. He enters with a 12-0 record. He's 4-0 in the UFC. He joined the roster, we all know, after his legendary fight at Dana White's Contender Series in July of 2017 when Snoop Dogg was there calling that fight, and Snoop and Uriah Faber were going insane. Snoop didn't know what he just saw. Dana went insane. Whole place went insane. Family, friends. Ever since then, he has not been stopped. He has just been on a roll. He's never been stopped, but still, Sugar Show. Let's go. His last 2 wins have been by first-round knockout, where he caught opponents clean from the stand-up. He's just an overwhelming force in the octagon. Like, you got to be an idiot to think that you're going to be able to take a couple of his strikes and be okay. Like, Vera is he's a punching bag, but I don't think he's ever been hit by someone like Shawn like this. If he does hit. We haven't seen yet. He ends the ranked at number 14th in the division. Happy for him. Finally up there. Finally ranked. He's going to be moving up. He ain't going to be 14th for long once he wins this fight. I think they put him in the top 10 once he wins this fight. He's looking for his 3rd knockout this year. Yes, the 3rd knockout in the calendar year of 2020. This is his 3rd fight, y'all. Man is just wanted. He is hungry. He lands 6.86 significant strikes per minute. Whew! And they are deadly. We have all seen what he can do. We all saw what he did to Wineland. Put that man on his back. We all saw what he did to Cornelius, however you pronounce his name, at UFC 248. We know what this man can do. They need to be scared. Peter Yan better be scared. He's coming for that title, man. And I can't wait for it, man. Cannot wait. Now his opponent, Marlon Cheeto Vera. Vera's 15-6-1. He has a 9-5 record in the UFC. The Ecuadorian will try to take this fight to the mat. He's going to try. I say try. We haven't really seen Shawn tested with a good wrestler. This is his first big test. This is the biggest fight of his career so far. So to see what he's going to do against Vera and if he could put him out or not, or if Vera's going to get a submission on him. Vera has 8 career submissions and 5 knockouts. victories. You know what I mean? Vera is a threat. We can't just put it like under the table. Shawn needs to know. Shawn knows. He's still confident in the fight, but he still knows that he can get knocked out. You got to have that thought in your head being a UFC fighter. If you go in there not thinking you're going to get knocked out or you can't get knocked out, you're going to get knocked out. That's just plain and simple. It's just how the game works. So Shawn knows that he's a threat. Cheeto's only averaging 3.7 strikes per minute and 0.88 takedowns, but he has 8 submissions on his roster. And those 5 knockouts, like I said. He won 5 in a row before being upset by Song Yadong in that unanimous decision back in May in UFC's return in Jacksonville. That was the same night Rosenstruck fought Ngannou. But man, he was on a roll. So, they're both on a roll. This is a very, very, very well-matched fight. The betting odds are Shawn at negative or minus 315 and Marlon Vera at plus 240. But to me, this is a good fight. Shawn is obviously the better fighter, in my opinion. But don't sleep on Vera. Cheeto Vera is a I won't say a deadly fighter, but he is a very intense and dangerous. Yeah, he's a dangerous fighter. He knows what he's doing. He's confident. On Embedded, he saw Sean O'Malley walking down the steps of the UFC Apex, and Vera's coach is like, "Is that Sean?" He's like, yeah, run. Sean don't want to talk to him. He's all there for him. Vera wasn't really disrespected by what Suga Show. So if you don't know what Shawn did, Shawn dyed his hair the Ecuadorian flag. His braids are the Ecuadorian flag. You'll see it when I bring up the pics here in a minute. But he said he doesn't care. I think he cares. I think he's pissed. I think he doesn't like Shawn. I think he really, 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 really wants to put this man to sleep. But Shawn's not going to let it happen. And if Shawn puts Marlon Cheeto Vera down, bantamweight, you better start scooting over and letting this man come through because he's going straight to the top. And I dare Henry Cejudo to come back. And he probably will. He'll probably be back after Shawn. If Shawn gets the title. Let me look at the rankings real quick. Sorry. But yeah, I think if Shawn gets that title, Henry Cejudo's definitely coming back. There's no doubt in my mind. All right, let's go to bantamweight. Yeah. Peter Yan, Marlon Moraes, Aljamain Sterling, Cody Garbrandt, Pedro, Jose, Jimmy Rivera. It's just he has to go to Dominic Cruz too. It's gonna be a while until Shawn could possibly get up there. But I think if he wins this fight tonight, you can't really move him to the top 10 because you can't disrespect Song Yadong like that. Can't disrespect John Dotson. Can't disrespect Dominic Cruz like that. Will you? What will they do? Dominic Cruz is commentating right now. Is he that active in the fight game? Does he want to fight again? He did just fight, but when is he going to get back in there? What are his plans? You know what I mean? Shawn's ready to fight. He's young and hungry. He's entertainment. He's getting those viewers. You know what I mean? Why not? You just don't want to put the rankings for views, but he's a damn good fighter. No one can put it past Shawn being one of the most electric fighters we have seen to date. And he's still growing. He's not 100% there yet, but he's going to get there. There's nothing so far that we can say that guy doesn't have potential. No, he has done everything right. And he's going to get rewarded for it. And if he just keeps on this path and keeps doing what he's doing, I think he's going to be one of the biggest UFC fighters in the modern era. I really do. And I hope he does. And I hope he accomplishes that. And I hope he gets there. There we go. All right. Sorry. But yeah, I'm very excited about that. Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera. And now the heavyweight fight. Y'all know, man. This is gonna take me some time. Just let me get through this. Sorry if I start ranting just a little bit. This is one of the most anticipated fights in UFC history. These past 2 fights in this trilogy, Stipe versus DC, have been electrifying. Some of the most fights I've watched over back to back, like on YouTube and stuff, and Fight Pass. DC catching Stipe with that right hook out of the clinch. Wonderful. I mean, that's a snapshot image for UFC, one for the ages. Stipe coming back 1 year ago in August and taking out DC with those fury of punches and putting him on his back against the cage and finishing him. Snapshot, one of the greatest moments in UFC history. What's going to happen tonight? What is going to happen tonight? Who knows? I have a guess. I'm going to tell you guys, but what the hell is going to happen? First round, second round, third round? Are we going to go to the championship rounds? Who knows? Stipe and DC are both at minus 110. Betting odds are even. These men are 1-1. Stipe's the champ now. DC was the light and heavyweight champion at one point. These guys aren't some scrubs. These are the best heavyweight fighters the UFC have ever seen. Some of the best heavyweight fighters. Now there's people coming up that could take that reign. We got Ngannou coming up, but right now, Stipe and DC. It's history. It's something so big and so magnificent that words can't put it into, like, trilogies don't happen that often in fights. We're going to get Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. Super excited. It's going to be a wonderful trilogy. You know what I mean? We never got that Conor McGregor, Nick Diaz trilogy. We never got that finish. Trilogies don't, it's not easy for trilogies to come together, for people to sign it, to do what they need to do. Now we're going to get that Alexander versus Max Holloway trilogy. That's a different story. You know what I mean? Alex is 1-1 or 2-0 against Max. But that's judges, you know what I mean? So they got to put that in account. But trilogies are rare. You need to understand that this is huge, man. Let me just get into it. This fight will determine who's the greatest heavyweight champion of all time, heavyweight fighter of all time in UFC for right now. It's just looking at all this stuff and the career of Stipe and the career of DC. It's remarkable. Like, it's not. Okay, let me just get into it. Stipe, 19-3 in his MMA career. Only loss 2015 to Cormier. We just talked about. Beat him first round knockout. In July of 2018. He defended his title 3 times. 3 times. Oh, sorry. That loss to Cormier, brain fart. That was 2018, not 2015. My apologies. It was his only loss since 2015, and that was the Cormier in July of 2018. He avenged the loss and reclaimed the title, as we know, on August 19th. That flurry of punches in the 4th round. Outstanding combat, man. Stipe's punches and strikes, 4.95 strikes per minute. 2.2 takedowns per 15 minutes. I mean, these are heavyweight fighters. These aren't small, skinny, quick guys. Stipe's quick, but you know what I mean? He may be landing only 4.95 strikes per minute on average, but I'm telling you, those 4.95 strikes are heavy-hitted strikes. You know what I mean? This isn't just getting slapped in the face. This is getting punched by a grown man, a grown heavyweight, legendary fighter. Same with DC, you know what I mean? DC's more well-rounded in the wrestling area. He didn't use it that much those past fights. But they both hit hard. You know what I mean? I mean, DC hung up there with John Jones. He didn't win. Technically, he did because of the substance abuse with John Jones. But DC knows what he's doing. Yeah. Like I said, Miocic is 4.95 strikes per minute and 2.2 takedowns per 15 minutes in his 16 U.S. fights. He's 37 years old. His record with the UFC is 13-3. I mean, all of his fights, he's just been covered in gold. All of his fights. Okay, let me just put this. His last 5 fights. Overeem for the belt, 1. Dos Santos for the belt, 1. Ngannou for the belt, 1. Cormier, loss. Cormier, 1 for the belt. I mean, and these are Overeem, round 1 knockout. Dos Santos, round 1 knockout. Ngannou, unanimous decision, 5 rounds. Impressive. Took Ngannou for 5 rounds. Ngannou's didn't have that much good of cardio at the time. Taken, you know what I mean? DC knocked out first round, doesn't matter. But DC, 4th round, win, KO. Like, Stipe has fought for gold, and he will always fight for gold. That is where he belongs until he retires. Once he's not fighting for the gold, he's out if he doesn't retire after tonight. It's just what it is. He's that caliber of a fighter. You can't just have him fighting. You know, this doesn't make sense. All right, let's get into Daniel Cormier's stats. 22-2-1 record, an 11-2-1 mark in the UFC, having held both belts, light heavyweight and heavyweight. 9 of his last 10 fights have been for the championship. Let's go, DC. DC is he has been here, Olympian, world-class legendary wrestler, not just in UFC, but just in the sport of wrestling itself. DC is one of the greatest grapplers and stand-up fighters in UFC history, hands down. Hall of Famer, Stipe too, both Hall of Famers. DC's averaging 4.25 strikes per minute and 1.95 takedowns per fight. He has 15 stoppages in his 22 career win, he has 15 stoppages in his 22 career wins. Sorry. Where did he fight? Yeah, he was an All-American wrestler at Oklahoma State. Yeah, All-American wrestler at Oklahoma State. He accomplished everything in the sport. You know what I mean? He just wants to ride it out, win this fight, and retire as the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history. Only losses on his career to John Jones and Miocic last year. I mean, and think about who this man has fought. You know what I mean? Let's just get into... Since this is DC's final fight, let's really break down DC right now. DC first fought for the belt August 13th, 2010 against Tony Johnson Jr. He won with a submission rear naked choke. That was an immediate KOTC. From there, he transitioned to Strikeforce. From Strikeforce, he was there from 2010 to 2013. And then once he transitioned to the UFC, April 20th, 2013, in his first fight, and it was a win against Frank Mir in a decision, and it was unanimous. So let's go back. DC has won against Gary Frazier, John Devine, Lucas Brown, Tony Johnson Jr., Jason Riley, Soa Paleli, Devin Cole, Jeff Monson, Antonio Silva, Josh Barnett, which is for the title in Strikeforce, which he won, and then he went on and fought one more time in Strikeforce and with the UFC. Josh Barnett, Dion Staring, Frank Mir's first UFC fight beat him unanimous decision. Roy Nelson, unanimous decision. Dan Henderson, submission. And then this is his first loss. John Jones, loss. I mean, it was a unanimous decision. It was a good fight. 5 rounds. John Jones didn't put him out. You know what I mean? Then fought Anthony Johnson for the belt. Submission win. UFC 187. That was back in 2015. Alexander Gustafsson, beat. Split decision. Anderson Silva, beat. Unanimous decision. Anthony Johnson, submission. John Jones, no contest, as we know. And then Volkan, Stipe, Derek Lewis, and then Stipe. People forget that DC went out after beating Stipe and defended his belt against Derek Lewis, while Stipe stayed at home for an entire year. Let's be honest here. Stipe lost the belt, stayed home for an entire year. DC said, nah, let's go. I'll fight Derek Lewis. Beat him. Submission. That was November 3rd, 2018. Stipe comes back, beats DC within a year on August 17th, less than 8 months after that Derek Lewis fight. Beats him, as we know, with the fear punches. But DC, he was so preoccupied with stuff, he even admitted. He was doing workouts until 2 p.m., from early in the morning to 2 p.m. He would go home, go to sleep for an hour, and then go to the high school where he would coach wrestling. And then he would go do cardio and training to do all of his media stuff. He was spending too much time. He was too energized from all the excitement that was going on. He thought what I'm getting at now, DC knows that he needs to take his time. COVID was the greatest thing that happened for DC. I know that's horrible to say. COVID was the greatest thing that happened for DC and Stipe. I'm not going to lie. But DC, only thing he's doing is a DC and Ariel show on ESPN. He does detailed breakdowns of UFC, and now he's the UFC 4 ratings adjuster. So when DC sees something like live or fights or whatever, he will call the ESPN people and say, hey, this person's this, maybe change this from a 3.5 star to or 4 star. He was talking about it with Sean O'Malley. So DC is now the UFC ratings adjuster, which is very exciting. That's awesome, I think. It's a great job to have, to be honest with you. But you got to remember, DC has been doing nothing but training. He looks incredible. Lean as ever. Stipe looks lean as ever. But what I'm getting at is DC has time. He has had time to focus on himself, has time to focus on his fight, and had time to focus on how he's going to beat Stipe Miocic to claim that heavyweight championship, to be the greatest heavyweight champion in UFC history. It's going to be very entertaining, man. I don't understand. It is beyond anything that we can imagine this fight is going to be. Hopefully. That's all I'm saying. But all right, man. Let me get into these picks. You want to go and pull them up, Drew? Let's go ahead and get into these picks. All right. Go ahead and scroll to the bottom. It'll be number 1. First fight. You can go ahead. Oh, sorry. It's number 2. My bad. First fight, John Dodson versus, Merab Valishvili. I'm taking Merab Valishvili. He's ranked number 5. He's dominant. Coming off a 4-fight win streak. John Dodson, he won his last fight, but he lost to Peter Yan and Jimmy Rivera before that. I just don't see him being that dominant in this fight. I think Merab is going to dominate. I think he's going to take over. I think it's going to be a decision, to be honest with you. I don't think Valishvili is going to be able to put him down. I'm excited to see it. I'm excited to see what is going to happen. But yeah, Merab all the way. All right, next one. Herbert Burns versus Daniel Pineda. This was a hard one for me, but I went Herbert Burns. I mean, like, it's a brother of Gilbert Burns. I mean, Herbert Burns, he's 11-2, rising star alongside his brother. He's 2-0 in the UFC. 2 first round stoppages. And like I said, only 4 minutes and 3 seconds of total fight time. I mean, that's a no-brainer for me. If I'm picking anybody at that point, I'm picking a guy that got an 80-second win via rear naked choke over Evan Dunham. You know what I mean? This guy is no joke. Excited to see him fight. And excited to see what he's going to do. See if he's going to be different. See if he's going to be versatile in any other way. Or I just want to see how if he's going to get the knockout. He's had 4 submissions in his last 5 fights and 1 knockout. You know what I mean? So we'll see. Next fight, Junior Dos Santos versus Rosenstruck. I got Dos Santos. I know this is crazy. I was thinking about this one for a while. Even now, looking at it, I do want to go back and pick Rosenstruck, but it's Junior Dos Santos, man. Don't sleep on this legend. I gotta take Junior. I would be very hurt and disrespecting me as a fan of Junior Dos Santos if I'm not picking him over Rosenstruck. I think Rosenstruck's a great fighter. I would love to see him here more in the future if he loses this fight, no matter what. But it's Junior Dos Santos, man. 15 knockouts, 1 submission, the heavy-handed Brazilian. Let's go. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Co-main event, put it up on there. You know who I got. Suga Show, O'Malley. You already know. It's a done deal for me. 12-0, 4-0 in the UFC. Suga Show's going to put him out. I'm calling it. First or second round. I think it's going to be a second round knockout. I think he's going to piece him up. He's going to just try to be entertaining. He was saying on Embedded, he likes to watch his fights back, and he hasn't been able to because his last 2 fights have been less than 5 minutes together. So I think he does want to be in there. I think he wants to enjoy the moment. It's his first time being the co-main event. This is the highest he's ever been on a card. He was originally supposed to be the first opening fight of the main card, or the main event card, but they moved him up. He said he found out after the Countdown crew came to his house. And he's like, oh, cool, you guys are here. Awesome. They were like, yeah, so we just want to let you know, I don't know if you've heard or not, but Countdown crew technically only does main event and co-main event. So we're thinking you're the co-main event. And he was just like, oh, you guys made a mistake. I don't think you're supposed to be here. Maybe call someone. They called someone, and that's how he found out he was the co-main event. That's pretty crazy. The camera crew just gets there and says, oh, we only do it for the main and co-main event. He thinks they're making a mistake. Nah. Sugar, you're where you need to be. You are dominant. Live up to it. I hope you do. You have been. Keep giving us wonderful knockouts to watch over and over and over and over again. Please. Pretty please. Yeah, Cheeto Vera, I just don't think it's going to happen. If it does, it'd be very, 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 very surprising. But it's Shawn O'Malley. Give it up for him. Suga Show. Suga Show versus Vera. I'm taking Sugar. All right. Go ahead. For the main event, you already know. Trilogy comes to an end, guys. Don't change it. Don't change it just yet. Stipe versus DC. I just want to take a moment to really appreciate these fighters for their last two fights and appreciate DC for everything he's done for the UFC. This man works. He's a commentator. He signed with ESPN for, you know what I mean? Oh, there we go. Let's go. In the blue corner, Stipe Miocic. In the red corner, Daniel Cormier. I should have did red and blue. I didn't even think about that. I might have to do that next time for these main events. But man, before I tell you guys who I picked, I just do want to thank DC for being an incredible fighter. Thank Stipe for some incredible fights. Those two fights were incredible. This will be an amazing fight. And I know it will be. It's going to draw people in. It's going to be insane. But having said that, after so much time for thinking about this, and I'm still unsure. You know what I mean? We got Stipe from Cleveland. You know what I mean? Should I be bipartisan towards him being from Ohio? Should I support that hometown hero? But at the end of the day, go ahead, you can change it. I gotta take DC. I mean, I love the dude, man. He's an animal. I'm taking DC because of a few things. DC admitted that second fight, he was stupid. Should have never struck with this DC or with Stipe. Stipe's body shots are nasty. They're deadly. They hurt. There's no getting around that. They hurt. But DC is going to take it to the ground. He's going to show Stipe why he was an All-American wrestler, why he was that legendary force back then, why he is still that legendary force to this day, why he was the light heavyweight champion and heavyweight champion at the same time, 2-division champion. I think he's going to show him time. I think he's going to show the world, and I think he's going to enjoy his retirement, but I know he wants this. I know this eats him up. I know he thinks about getting knocked out every single day. He's admitted it. And I think DC is going to take the dub, and I think he's going to walk off into the sunset with that title. And I do think Stipe will be back for the vacant title against Francis Ngannou. That's all I'm saying. Unless you take Stipe out of the equation, give him some time off, see what he's feeling, and then you put Ngannou versus, I don't even know. I don't even want to guess, you know what I mean? But DC over Stipe, that's my pick. Hard, very, 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 very hard. I can't express to you guys how hard this might have been my hardest decision I made to this day. And I'm still up in it. I'm just looking at it, I'm still just, man, but Stipe, I just think about what Stipe can do, but then I just think about what DC can do, and I think about what DC has done, and then I start thinking about what Stipe has done, and it's just, this is what makes me a fan of fighting. The unknowing. The knowing there's so many possibilities and outcomes to what's going to happen, and seeing that play out. That's what makes me be a fan. The unknowing. And this is an unknowing fight tonight. These guys are tied at minus 110 even for betting odds. Like, it's history, man. The trilogy ends tonight. All right, you can go ahead and take it off the screen. You can go ahead and put the other one back on. The scene. Yeah, scene. Or whatever. Yeah, that one. But yeah, guys. I hope you guys tune in tonight. I believe the early prelims start at 7. The regular prelims start at 8. Let me get back. Sorry. So early prelims, ESPN, 7 p.m. Okay. Preliminary cards, ESPN, 8 p.m. Main card, pay-per-view, 10 p.m. All to UFC Apex. 25-foot octagon. Man, that's gonna be huge. That's this Shawn O'Malley, Marlon Vera, Junior Dos Santos, Rosenstruck, Herbert Burns, Daniel Pineda, John Dodson, Marab Valishvili, whatever his name is, and it's Stipe versus DC Cormier. Let's go, y'all. But you know what? I'm going to go ahead and end it tonight. I'm going to end it here just to get ready for these fights. I don't want to get this going on too long because I can sit here and talk about these fights all day. But guys, please tune in tonight. I hope you guys enjoy. Hope my picks come out how I want. Even if they don't, if Stipe wins, I'm not too upset. But yeah, UFC 252 tonight. Main event starts 10 p.m. pay-per-view. I'm your host, Jayla Walker. This is Pound for Pound. Peace.